Welcome back to another thrilling episode of the Mahabharata, India's epic tale of war, betrayal, and divine power. Subscribe now and dive into the Mahabharata like never before. Episode 2 Births of Dhritarashtra, Pandu and Vidur. Vyasa's boon, mixed fortunes. Satyavati bore two sons, Chitrangar and Vichitravir. But fate was not yet finished, reshaping the future of Hastinapur. Chitrangar, brave and bold, became king after Shantanu's death. But he died young in battle with a Gandharv prince of the same name. Vichitravir then took the throne as a boy, with Bhishma guiding him like a father. As the young king came of age, Bhishma set out to find him suitable brides. He journeyed to kingdoms of Kashi, where a Swamvar was being held for the three princesses, Amba, Ambika and Ambalika. When the kings present mocked Hastinapur for not being invited, Bhishma, insulted but calm, announced, "I fight not for myself, but for my king." He defeated all the suitors and carried the three princesses back to Hastinapur. But here again, destiny intervened. The eldest, Amba, was in love with another, King Salva. When Bhishma learned this, he let her go in honor. But Salva rejected her, humiliated by Bhishma's victory. Broken and angry, Amba returned to Hastinapur and demanded justice. "I have been shamed and discarded," she said. "It is Bhishma's fault. He must marry me." But Bhishma, bound by his terrible vow, could not. Amba's sorrow turned to fury. She vowed to bring Bhishma's fall, no matter how long it took. Meanwhile, Vichitravir married Ambika and Ambalika, but he too died young without an heir. After the tragic death of King Vichitravir of Hastinapur, the royal palace grew eerily silent. He had passed without fathering an heir, and the mighty kingdom, once secure under the Kuru dynasty, now trembled on the brink of a future without a king. Queen Mother Satyavati, once the boatwoman whose destiny changed the course of her empire, now sat with furrowed brows and restless eyes. Her husband Shantanu was gone. Her stepson, Bhishma, though noble and wise, had taken a terrible vow of celibacy and refused the throne. And now both her sons, Chitrangar and Vichitravir, had died too young. Desperate to preserve the Kuru lineage, Satyavati remembered a secret from her past. Many years ago, when she was still a maiden ferrying boats across the river, she had met the sage Parashar. He had gifted her a divine son, Vyas, born of spiritual power and destined to become a great rishi and chronicler of future events. Vyas had promised to return when she needed him the most. Now this time had come. One night, as a strong wind howled through the palace corridors, Satyavati sat alone in the inner chambers and whispered his name, Vyas. In a moment, the great sage appeared, his hair knotted, his skin dark, his eyes burning with wisdom. The very air stilled around him. "You called, mother?" he asked. Satyavati, filled with both hope and shame, explained the crisis of the Kuru dynasty. "There is no heir, my son. The throne is empty. I beg you, grant children to the widows of Vichitravir. Use your divine powers. Save the Kuru line." Vyas nodded. "I shall do as you ask. But remember, this is not ordinary birth. The queens must observe tapasya, purity and discipline. They must meet me with a calm and accepting mind." Satyavati agreed. She summoned the elder queen, Ambika, and instructed her to receive the sage without questions. That night, Ambika awaited the sage in her chamber. But when Vyas entered, his fierce form and wild appearance frightened her. His matted hair, ash-smeared skin, and burning eyes made him look more like a spirit than a man. Terrified, she shut her eyes tight and did not open them even once. Vyas left silently. When he met Satyavati, he said, "Your grandson will be born strong, but blind," for his mother closed her eyes. Satyavati was disappointed, but persisted. She sent the younger queen, Ambalika, the next night. This time the queen opened her eyes. But fear turned her face pale and her body trembled throughout the encounter. Later, Vyas informed Satyavati. Her son will be healthy and intelligent, but he will be born pale and weak of constitution. Still, no perfect heir was born. Satyavati begged Vyas to try one more time, but Ambika and Ambalika, now terrified, sent their maid instead, a noble servant named Parishrami, calm and composed. When Vyas approached her, she greeted him with dignity, neither fearful nor arrogant. She accepted his presence with humility and peace. Later, Vyas told his mother, "The children born of the maid shall be wise, just and noble, but he shall never rule, for he is not of royal blood." In time, 3 children were born. Dhritarashtra, son of Ambika, powerful and brave, but blind from birth. Pandu, son of Ambalika, wise and skilled, but sickly and pale, cursed with frail health. Vidur, son of the maid, brilliant and just, destined to become the kingdom's greatest advisor, though barred from the throne. Satyavati was pleased and yet troubled. The fates of these 3 boys, each born under unusual circumstances, were far from perfect. Bhishma, ever loyal to the throne, raised them as his own. Under his guidance, they studied the Vedas, learned archery, diplomacy, and the code of kingship. The Kuru court once again echoed with the sounds of youth and promise. Years passed. Pandu was crowned king for his strength of mind and noble heart. Dhritarashtra, despite being the eldest, was denied the throne because of his blindness. Vidura, though wise beyond his years, remained a minister, never aspiring to the crown, though many said he would have been the finest ruler of them all. Pandu married Kunti, a princess known for her devotion and discipline, and Madri, a princess of unmatched beauty. Dhritarashtra married Gandhari, a woman of rare strength and sacrifice. When she learned her husband was blind, she voluntarily blindfolded herself for life, choosing to see only as he saw. Her act stunned the court, an oath of love that few could understand. Vidura, the son of a maid, refused luxury. He lived simply, followed dharma with every breath, and became a pillar of wisdom in the court. Yet, even as the 3 brothers lived in harmony, a quiet tension brewed beneath the surface, fueled by fate, pride, and ambition. In time, the 3 fathers would give rise to the next generation. From Pandu, the 5 Pandavas, born through divine intervention. From Dhritarashtra, the 100 Kauravas, led by the ambitious Duryodhan. From Vidura, a legacy of righteousness, though no children of his own would challenge for the throne. The seeds were sown for a great conflict, for though these births brought hope, they also carried curses, jealousy, and destiny wrapped in fragile human hearts. And thus Mahabharata began, not with war, but with sacrifices, vows, and divine births, each shaped by fear, choice, and duty. So, the moral of the story is the path of preserving our dynasty was filled with compromise. No birth was perfect, no fortune came without a cost. The story teaches us that great destinies often begin in imperfect circumstances, and it is the choices people make afterward that shape the future. If you enjoyed this story, don't forget to give it a thumbs up. And for more stories like this, be sure to subscribe and hit the bell icon so you never miss a new upload. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next one with another twist, another tale, and another truth. Bye bye, see you very soon.